Hi, have you heard about Bitcoin? Not Bitcoin, but Bipcoin. Bravo, India, Papa, Coin. Bipcoin is a new cryptocurrency that you can start mining today for free on ordinary computers. Unlike most altcoins, Bipcoin is not a clone of Bitcoin. Bipcoin is based on entirely new, more recent, and better code called CryptoNote. So unlike Bitcoin, Bipcoin has truly untraceable transactions, does not require specialized mining rigs, and has adaptive limits. Plus, Bipcoin is the only cryptocurrency covered by the BitCot no government license. This allows use and reuse by anyone except governments and government agents. If you're still kicking yourself in the head for not getting in on the ground floor of Bitcoin, start mining, using, and trading Bipcoin today.
Not a guarantee.
Mining Bipcoin costs you nothing but the electricity to run your computer. And we already take Bipcoin for stickers and buttons. Go to bipcoin.org. That's bipcoin.org. Once again, that's Bravo, India, Papa, coin.org.
It's not necessarily a bad thing if you look at it from your perspective, but the perspective I look at it from is I don't want these kids I've spent my time training going overseas and dying.
It is slavery. It's just a different name. A lot of people don't realize what it is. And when we bring these ideas to light and make people realize, that this government force is the problem.
And to me, it's like I say, imagine you're an abolitionist in the 19th century, and these slave masters are giving you the same exact argument. Who's going to pick the cotton?
Hey, Seeds of Liberty. Read the show's description, please. Fervently complete the course. Report him to the infantry. Finish him. Deconstruct the fallacy. Seasonal production means it seems to spawn a tragedy. Peep the action, please. A fraction of the allegory. Corollary cadences complaining on a sadder story. Menial. Recently reading into the thesis here. Mirroring the people who completely fail to see it though.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Seeds of Liberty podcast. This is episode 86. As always, the Seeds of Liberty podcast is covered by a BitCot no government license. This allows reuse by anyone except for governments and the agents thereof. You can find out more information about this at bipcot.org. So this week, Dave is back. Hi, Dave.
What's up? So glad we got some audio issues potentially, hopefully figured out.
Yes, we may get into that a little later, but before we get into my remarkable jerry-rigging of my system over here, we have a guest this week. It is our friend Dylan Robinson from Veteran Anarchy. Hey, Dylan, what's up, man?
What's up?
How are you?
VA, man. Check out the VA.
Yes, Dylan.
We don't poison people.
Yes.
You don't give them AIDS and hepatitis?
No, we don't.
Not yet, at least.
Are you?
We give them videos that trigger people.
Of course, that would be the government Veterans Affairs that did that, huh?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
Veteran Affairs, not to be confused.
Well, Dave, before you bury the lead too far, I mean, I don't really know anything about this. So do you want to expand on that? That you're just dropping that news?
Well, let's read the old headline here. It's on DC. Nearly 600 vets could have been affected with HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, in Tomah, Wisconsin. Tomah, Tomah, Wisconsin, because a dentist didn't properly clean his instruments.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, I mean,
there's some government health care for you.
Well, I mean, you've seen that this has happened before in private settings and in other settings as well. So it can happen, but it's usually worse when it's any government situation.
But yeah, now the taxpayer is burdened.
Well, exactly. That's why
with paying. That's what makes this different,
Well, yeah,
than private,
That's what I was trying to get to. I was trying to make that point for people who may not be aware, Dave, because we do have new listeners every week, as you like to point out to me. So
yeah, we do.
I try not to.
Our numbers keep going up incredibly. I'm thankful for that.
I don't know how. It's been a miracle that has occurred, but yeah. So, but yes, that was the point I was trying to drive home. That they this stuff does happen, but in private industry, well, that company would be responsible. Most likely, would either have to pay a hell of a lot of money or go out of business. When it's the VA, they'll just go, oh, well, we'll just borrow some of this money that's been stolen from people over here, and we'll just settle out. It'll be okay. And they'll just keep going on.
And you got to take the government settlement. You can't
Right.
No, I want a better settlement. Okay, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, if
exactly.
it was a private company. Yeah, if it was a private company, you'd have 600 or civil lawsuits going on right now.
Yeah, exactly. Or you probably wouldn't even need that. You get like one class action one, and they'd be all be
Yeah, you
screwed.
just
So-
get one and you get 600 witnesses.
Have you been on the Seeds of Liberty to discuss the what you're doing now with Veteran Anarchy in this capacity yet?
No, it's actually my
And
first
if
time.
not,
on
would
Seeds
you
of Liberty.
explain?
Yeah, we never.
Okay,
we-
I thought you were on during Christmas.
No, we were
No.
supposed to get Dylan. There was a couple times we tried to get Dylan on, but there was technical issues and then scheduling.
I message him
conflicts.
like every 2 or 3 weeks. I'm like, got a mic yet? Question mark. He's like, no, I'm broke. And I guess he finally.
Well, no. Now he's a homeless vet who's shacking up with somebody who's letting him use his microphone in his studio. So we could.
Well, he
finally have
found
him
a
on.
way.
Well,
I
yeah,
guess,
the problem was
well, that's good.
I didn't have a device that has FeenPhone's compatible with.
We've been
So that
trying
was
to
my real
push.
problem.
We don't want to have a guest on and them sound crappy, and people turn it off, and then no one hears the message of the guest and all that. So
Right.
why don't you tell us like the what's going on over at Veteran Anarchy and like what your goal is and everything to do with that over there?
Well, all right. There's two main purposes of Veteran Anarchy. One is to build a bridge of communication between, well, I'm going to use collectivist terms here, civilian anarchists and veteran anarchists.
I'm triggered. I'm kidding.
I got it. I'm tracking.
The second one that I don't advertise as much is actually anti-recruitment. And the reason I don't advertise the anti-recruitment is because pages that do normally get pushed down and not seen. They get reported. They get all kinds of crap. So Veteran Anarchy, I'm kind of quiet about it. I just did a pretty good video that went viral. I wouldn't say went viral. It went viral for me, 12,000, where it showed.
That's good, man.
It starts off with like an A10 Burt, which will get anybody's attention. And then it goes through, like, the first half seems like it's celebrating war, and then the second half shows the outcome, and it has some decently graphic photos I mixed in there. And it worked. It actually both sides saw it, and I could tell who connected with each side of the video. You could tell who the more anarchist, maybe liberal people were, and the right-wing statists were. Because the right-wing statists will comment like, oh, Bert, oh, that's cool. Oh, people die in war. And then the other side will, they start yelling about government and going to war and stuff. I'm like, yeah, that was kind of the point, man. You figured it out.
Nice.
It is in my opinion. I think it's very important to have this veteran outreach, this veteran, these signal flares that we can lob their way, because they, unlike most of society, have been heavily tricked by statism. Once you get in there, you're essentially brainwashed, hard brainwashed, and it's so hard that 50 years down the road, somebody can walk by somebody that's a higher rank than they had, and they'll salute them and stuff, and it's like,
Yep. Oh yeah, you
that's
still
in
see
there.
it with veterans.
That's deep in there.
Absolutely. And sometimes, once you get in the military, if like you didn't go to college and you come right in out of high school, it's kind of hard to get out.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a
and
trap.
when you do,
it's a
when you-
welfare trap.
Right. And when you do get out, it's so easy to take a government job. It's so easy. And the
Oh, because
private
there's all these
sector's hard to find.
programs and all that. Yeah.
So
Oh.
that, or you can use your GI Bill, but of course we wouldn't like that. Triggered.
Wow. Plenty of people who seem to be against that type of stuff, you find out later, actually have used their GI Bill. So I don't know. I mean, I've never really come down on that issue one way or the other. I've always said I personally won't take any money from the government, but I'm not going to, because I have flip-flopped back and forth for years now on the bleed the system versus starve the system. And is it possible that doing both in conjunction will actually benefit more? Like, so I've tossed that around for years now. So
When it's a monopoly, that's my only concession. Like when I have no other choice.
Well, what do you mean?
Here's what.
Well, like when they took my unemployment insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Like reason would be that I would most likely have that if the private sector was allowed to really compete in that, and it not be a government tax thing. So like when I got let go, I took all of that money I could back just from that unemployment insurance, because I would have essentially had the same service had the government not had a monopoly on it.
Possibly, yeah, but I get what you're saying. But that for me, that's one of those things that falls directly under the.
As soon as they turned it off, I got off of it. So
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
when they stopped giving it to me, I decided to stop taking it.
I was like, I'm not fighting for this, but I'm not gonna sit here and argue about it.
I
But
see. You didn't try
I
to
wanted
get it.
some money back.
I see what you're saying. You didn't get it extended. Okay.
Well,
go ahead, Dylan.
if you got just the GI Bill real quick, especially to any veteran anarchists, or I've actually been in contact with a couple active duty anarchists asking me how to talk to people and stuff lately. So the page it's working now.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with the GI Bill is the money is there either way, and most people actually don't use it.
So
if you don't use it to get an education, it's probably going to be used to bomb people overseas. So honestly, use it for your education. At least make something good.
Yeah. If you're an anarchist and you've got a GI Bill sitting there, get into the education system and tell everyone you know about anarchy.
Yeah.
For free, essentially. Just brainwash not brainwash, but give them, tell them, hey, look, anarchy's the only way. Tell everyone, because it's so easy in this education system to get in here and start changing minds, because they're looking for things when they're in college. They're looking for ideas when they're in college. Some people just unfortunately settle on the first thing that comes along and build a religion behind it.
I don't know about all. It seems more and more, at least, that especially with I guess the millennials or whatever they're called, like that generation seem to be hitting the college ranks already in that progressive mindset. Like, it didn't seem to take a year or two for them to get settled on an ideology and not budge from that. It kind of seems like more and more of them are walking in like that. Because I think it's filtered down into the public schools, beyond just the college.
Well, either way, I mean, I think using your GI Bill, if you're going to use that to go into college and try to actively better yourself, getting a useful degree, one of the STEM fields.
I'm not arguing that.
And actively trying to propagandize everyone around you into non-aggression. I think that's worth
well, sure.
doing, in my opinion.
There's money. I mean,
that's just an idea. If you didn't want to feel bad about your GI Bill, using it.
Well,
I don't feel bad.
Well, like I said, using any of that stuff. I mean, like you said, Dave, if you're going to look at it from the perspective of, well, this would most likely exist in a free society, and I would use it. I mean, you could also try to make the argument that, well, like especially something like you were talking about with unemployment insurance, this is something I directly paid into for however long when I was working, because that's part of what.
Yeah, it's not a choice when you're
exactly when you work like that. It's not a choice. So, I know a lot of people make the same argument about Social Security or any of those other things. I mean, I don't try to dictate what others should do. I just personally do what I do, which is reject it all on principle. Even Social Security, I just refuse to. I just stopped paying into it. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Well, I don't think it'll exist even by the time you get to Social Security.
I'm getting close, man. I only got like 25 years. What, didn't they lower the age, or is it still 65?
No.
Is it still 65? So I got 25. I got 25 years, man. I'm about to hit 40 in a couple of months. But yeah, it probably won't even last that long.
So what all are your the goals other than outreach and advocating people don't enlist? What are your?
You're not advocating.
I thought
you said you're not advocating that. Wait a minute.
Well, no.
Advocating that?
No. We are, but a little quieter.
Not openly, yeah. That's what you said. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not going to put out something resist, don't enlist on my page, because with having Veteran Anarchy and having that name in it, I'm attracting a lot of that right-wing veteran crowd, and they're starting to interact. And although they don't disagree, or they disagree, I'm at least opening up a conversation with them that normally I wouldn't have, because they'd be like, "Oh, an anarchist? I don't want to talk about that."
I've seen an anarchist vet, if you will allow that, definition. I've seen one of them get in, like Donnie or someone get into a, clearly an all military comment thread, and just completely wreck it. Like no one, just no one there can break any of the logic or anything, and he gets everyone pissed off, or they'll get everyone pissed off, and then 5 weeks later, you'll see all these people, same people that were pissed off, they're now ANCAPs or whatnot. So it's kind of wild to watch. This appeal to authority for some people, I think, has to be had. This this distinction that, you know, I am a vet, I am an anarchist. You need to hear what I'm saying, because the appeal to authority I've noticed from soldiers and really the enforcement class is insane.
Oh, of course. That's all we know, though. I mean, you get out of high school, 18 years old, you come into the Army, all you've ever known your whole life is authority. You've got someone always yelling at you. You got someone making you do physical exercises. So as an adult, all you've known is someone yelling at you, someone who is in charge of you just because they have stripes on their chest. And that's about it. And it's, you know, and of course, it's the same. If you go into a civilian workforce, you're going to have bosses, but it's not at the same level. I mean, you just quit your civilian job. Your boss can't make you do push-ups unless you're like a cop or something, but that's still government.
Or they got you blackmailed or something. Which is,
and if you're before 2012, you probably got beat up and hazed, like I did. But that's gone away because the Army's getting really liberal. Honestly, the Army is being destroyed.
I think it's just one big single mother's welfare program at this point. The Army, specifically the Army.
It's not necessarily a bad thing if you look at it from your perspective, but the perspective I look at it from is I don't want these kids I've spent my time training going overseas and dying.
Oh no, I can totally understand that. I mean, obviously, I don't have that connection, but I can totally empathize with that position. You know, well, sympathize, I guess, because I don't know it. But that position, like that, I understand that.
Yeah, like you're training them in something you don't believe in, and then they're going off to fight in a war that you don't believe in. It's all just like you're like, how do I stop this? That's I've never looked at it from that. That's amazing. There's a lot to deal with.
That's what people ask me. I think I posted a couple of videos in our Telegram group every once in a while of us doing like ridiculous training, and they're like, "Why are you training them to fight?" And I'm like, "Well, because I don't want them to die in Iraq."
Well, yeah,
they're gonna go. I can't stop the war on my own, but I can at least train someone not to get killed.
Well, yeah, that was. I mean, exactly. What else could you really do? I mean, you could be a total dick and say, "I don't care," and I'm not going to train you. But then, I mean, you chose to take that responsibility on. But that is, I mean, that's. A lot of people might have just dicked out on that, so that's actually, you know,
right.
That's actually rather noble of you, Dylan. That you were like, no, you know what? I hate this shit. I want out, and the fact that you continue to talk openly about it, because I mean, we never managed to get you on, but we've talked about you on the show before. I mean, we just brought you up a couple weeks ago when we had Donnie on, because as you've spoken about to us, I mean, I've done another show with I mean, besides the stuff we do now, but I did another show with you. I think Anti-Media I did with you one night.
Yep.
You've talked about the fact that it was the people being angry and yelling at each other that kind of pushed you away at first and calling names, and then you just stumbled across hearing Donnie on our show, and because of that connection, because it was coming from him, and he's talked about it too. I mean, he has a different method than you do, but
right.
But both of you, the one thing both of you agreed on, and plenty of other people I've talked to that are veterans and stuff that all say the same things, is that when it comes down to it, they'll listen to us before they're going to listen to you. So, why either stop being such an asshole or just give up altogether and let us handle it, basically, because it makes more sense. There's a level of, I've said the level of trust, and I've been corrected on that before, but I can't remember what I was corrected with. But that's essentially what it is. There's just an innate level of trust that isn't there with a civilian that's outside your family or your private circle.
Right.
That's there with another member, right? I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but like I imagine that's
Well, no, if you're a civilian and you try to come at veterans or active military with Donnie's approach, it's not going to work because you don't have that trust, you don't have that appeal to authority essentially that they give you because you were in the military. So Donnie's approach is really good.
Specifically what we were talking about on there. Yeah, about how. That show was specifically, if you haven't listened to it, I can't remember, it was like 16 or it was early
19, 20, somewhere in there, yeah.
Somewhere around there. We'll find it, put, I guess, in the comments
I'll try to
below,
remember to put it in the show notes, yeah.
That was the specific goal of that episode was how active our vets could speak to other active our vets, not civilians or casuals or whatever you want to call them, non-military. The appeal to authority, we were just talking about it earlier, and we're still talking about it. It is real, and it has to be discussed, has to be focused on, and it has to be, we got to play all angles here. And if it is using, hey, I'm a vet, even though you really don't care about that anymore, use it.
Yeah,
get people swinging your way. You have to.
Yeah, you're using the state against itself, essentially.
Well, you're using all of their emotional appeals that are
Right.
it's what's going to happen against them. They can't use them then. It's like, no, brother, you just need to listen to me here. You're not looking at this the right way. I was there. I could say everything you're about to say to me. I could say
Right.
it. You know.
Oh yeah,
That's what I tell conservatives. I'm like, dude, I could literally quote everything you're about to say to me. Do you not think I've not examined this?
Yeah, because if you when the civilians do that, I can actually tell you the specific thing that happened. I don't know if it was in the SOL group or one of those ANCAP groups. It was when I was just getting into it. I'd been a libertarian for 3 or 4 years, and I saw someone making a argument for the justification of the Chattanooga recruiting station shootings, and I just like checked out right then. It was like, you're justifying, murdering people simply because they're in the military at a recruiting office. And I just couldn't. Yeah, that's what scared me away specifically, just so people know. But then I found you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are people that take things to their very, very logical conclusion. Would you be morally justified in taking this action? Kinda, maybe, sorta. But is that going to change anybody's mind? Is that a pragmatic approach to your own safety? Probably not.
Yeah.
When should you start firing at the mailman? I don't know, man. But I know that
Listen, I'm not firing on my mailman until he starts firing on me.
I know
He's
that
a
the
nice
third
guy,
day of
right?
Nuremberg trials, they were hanging lawyers and doctors and everything else. So you just
Well,
you got to be really careful on whose orders you obey in this life.
Well, that's why I try really hard not to obey any orders.
Yeah.
That's the best way to go about it, Jeremy.
Except when they're coming from a cop and he has his hand already on the gun, then I'm going to start obeying orders. Pretty quickly. I've had to do it before.
I'm obeying any human that's got their hand on a gun and I don't have my gun position.
Yeah.
Right. At that
That's
point,
the way I
look
look at it. That's the way I look at it. It's like, a gang member pulled me over. I better comply.
Well,
yeah, I mean, at that point, you're not given much of a choice. It's either die or comply.
In a lot of situations, yes, unfortunately. But no, I get what you're saying, because
every instance involving a member of the state, because if you deny their authority, it will escalate.
It can escalate. It doesn't always escalate. It's
It
easy.
does, yeah.
It's easy to sway people
I didn't mean to
broad
make it
brush.
absolute.
No, just in
But
general, because even with cops. I mean, this is going to get us off on a different topic. But even with cops, there's times that they will back down and not actually do anything, if enough resistance is shown by a big enough group of people. But they and with lower level people and bureaucrats, and even agency, goons or whatever, a lot of times they'll have to not go as far as they would want to, but
Oh yeah, it's like, listen, buddy, I work for the mayor. Oh, okay, have a great day.
Well, no, I'm talking about not even with one of us. Like it's not always a guarantee that it's going to escalate to that. I know a lot of people like to throw that around, like that hyperbolic around, like, oh, that's really the case. And I mean, I used to do it a lot more too, but it's not really. In most situations,
it's a test.
It's not going to happen. With a cop, it's almost always going to happen if you let it escalate. It's almost always going to end up very badly for you, unfortunately. So let's not go there. Let's get away from this topic anyway. I don't want to talk. It's giving me the sads now, because I've been cop interaction free again now for, I guess, almost 2 years. It was almost 2 years ago when I got arrested.
Knock on
right?
wood, man. Come on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I can't even remember now. Yeah, I think it'll be around New Year's this year. Will be 2 years. Yeah.
It was about around when we started the podcast.
Yeah, so about 2 years ago is when the last time my last interaction after being clean of them for like 2 or 3 years. And bastards. Anyway. Well, I mean, like we were saying about
remember that crazy lady that was hitting you? I forgot about that. Anyways.
Oh, on the train afterwards? Yeah, that was funny.
No.
Oh.
No, the crazy foreign lady that was like your neighbor or whatever.
Oh. Yeah. Oh no, that wasn't a neighbor. That was when I was walking a dog in somebody's neighborhood.
Yeah. That's what it was.
She yelled at me about my dog peeing on her lawn, and I'm like, "It's not your lawn." And she just went nutty on me, and then came up to me and started beating me, and I wanted to flick her because she was like 5 foot nothing. I just wanted to flick her in the forehead and just be like, "Go away, you little gnat! Like, why are you hitting me?"
You were completely justified in chopping her head off with a buzzsaw, Jeremy.
No,
you could have just
I honestly
really went there. You could have.
I think I was honestly justified in just decking her and just knocking her out cold.
I think
at that
some people
point.
walk around life like thinking, like I can't wait for somebody to mess with me so I can just unload on them.
I've walked around much of my life like that.
Yes.
But in that situation, I mean, if a small
Well,
woman
damn!
like
I
that,
just found 2 people like that, huh?
well, if a small woman had punched me like that, just once, I probably let it go. But she punched me multiple times to the point where, like, I turned around. I'm like, at this point, if I do hit this woman, I'll still probably end up being, the wrong one here. But I'll be totally justified because she's been beating on me now for like a good 30 seconds. So one good shot to the face, I think she's earned that. But I didn't. I restrained myself and just stared her down, and I think I scared her even more by doing that. So.
Well, you do have those intense,
Yes,
those intense,
I have a very
piercing eyes.
Yeah.
Ma'am, do you really want this? Do you really want to rumble?
Exactly.
Do you want in my world?
You can't handle this. Just step off, bitch. But anyway, so we were talking about speaking a little more gently to veterans as opposed to threatening to beat up little women. So I think maybe we should shift back to that. And the one thing I wanted to say is that I mean, obviously, like I touched on, I mean, and you've said it too, that your approach, Dylan, and Donnie's are different. And I used to, I love Donnie's approach for the longest time, but I really like what you're trying to do and what you've been doing with the Veteran Anarchy, and about that whole, like, instead of just in your face and talk about it, and you're not like mean, but you're like very in your face, like you're really the whole building bridges thing and like trying to open this up and not give more people an opportunity to hear this rather than being so rigid about things. And I think that's I don't know, especially these days with all the hostility going on within people who supposedly have the same goal in mind. I think that approach may turn out to be much more productive, especially now. So I applaud you for taking that route, because definitely use more
a lot
of that.
And a lot of VA is actually talking to civilians, or Veteran Anarchy is talking to civilians like, hey, when you come across a military veteran, don't call them a welfare whore, because they're probably going to want to punch you in the face and not listen to you, because I wouldn't, Yeah. I don't even now when people call it to me. You guys, it's funny, but like other people, it's like, you're an idiot. So that's just how I look at it.
That whole welfare whore, troops or welfare whore thing, that all is like a shock thing. That's a hard loop break. If you're asleep at the wheel and you come across that and you read the troops are welfare whores, that stirs the consciousness, and it just especially if you're conservative, and that was the point of all of that. Some people need those chains rattled so hard that you just got to say something like that and walk away. In my opinion, it's not nice. Planting a tree is not nice. You got to dig the dirt out. So it's you got to do a little bit of things.
Yeah, I said, I have too. I don't use Donnie's approach, but I like Donnie's approach because I think everything has a place, essentially. Sometimes off the Vacate the Military page and the Troops Are Parasitic Tools group, I can actually grab people and like bring them over to VA and have a real conversation with them because they're all pissed
that's how
off
I
and
grabbed.
triggered.
I think I grabbed you. Believe it or not.
You keep saying you did, but I swear to God you didn't.
Dave likes to.
I think you were in a thread, pissed off, bitching and moaning, and I just messaged you. I said, "Hey, add me if you want this explained more," and you did. And then boom, like it changed. Maybe it was somebody else, but I can't.
Well, I'll have to go way back in my Facebook.
I used to rumble and tumble in those threads because I really don't mind rustling jimmies.
Oh yeah, we know you don't, Dave.
Who, Dave? No, not at all.
No, not at all.
Well,
one day some crazy military vet's gonna kick in my door and just light me up.
I've been threatened a few times. Nothing actually happened.
I don't know. Probably not.
I had more.
Nothing's gonna happen.
I had more of those experiences where, like, I think I forget who mentioned it earlier about, like, you do pretty much plant the seed and then like a month later or something. I think it might have been you, Dave. And then all of a sudden they're like, wait a minute. Because I had that happen a bunch of times with military members when there was a stretch where I was going on trolling missions, but I was doing, it was like a good troll, bad troll thing, and it was like 2-man teams, and we would just go into these different sites, like not all Facebook too, like different websites and their comment sections and stuff, and just start. The other guy would just start antagonizing people, and then
I look for guys who are asking questions.
Well, that's
and
around.
I remember all of that.
But again, it's a matter.
I remember all of those. That good troll, bad troll. That was fun.
Yeah, but
I still do that. So I'll find somebody that's getting trolled, and then while they're licking their wounds, I'll message them. Hey, if you want to understand that other person's point a little better, you could read this. Just so they're like, oh. An asshole showed me an asshole was being an asshole, and someone showed me this. So you can really change someone's mind just by showing a little bit of niceness and get them thinking logically by showing a little bit of niceness. Well, and that's I like to do that. It's almost like you're pushing someone. It's like, are you pissed off? Are you mad yet? Are you angry? Okay, here's how you fix it. But
that's a different.
They don't get that. That's what's happening to them.
Yeah, but that's kind of what we're talking about though, about like the different methods, because like the more in your face approach like some people take is pretty much like that screaming at you over and over and over again. Are you mad? Yeah. Are you getting mad? Are you bugged? So yeah. But again, I think that while all these things do have their place, at least there usually seems to be a lot more of those than the other methods being employed. So it's good, I think, to strike more of a balance, because there's so many people that will get quickly turned off by the in your face name calling.
Especially someone who's used to thinking in collective identity. All right. They're going to think, oh, all those people who say that they're this act are going to say the same thing.
So unfortunately,
it's very important that we all remember that we're individuals, and every individual is prone to mistakes,
Well, yeah, but that's the problem, because with people like that, a lot of people write them off and say, well, they're too stupid to learn anyway, so screw them. It's like, well, no, but like they could it's quite possible that a good number of them can still be reached as long as they don't keep up with that assumption. Like, that's the thing, because
there is a time in my life, Jeremy, where if someone would have said taxation is theft to me, I would have said blocked. I wouldn't have even responded. I would have just been like, this moron has never even had a thought through their head, and I would just keep going. So
that's something interesting about that.
Ahead.
At work, like at Army work, when I used to be in the Army, I would say that, and my team leader would always look at me and say, well, you're not wrong. So I guess I used to kind of make fun of the taxation as theft memes everywhere, but it kind of works, because people
it does once you get someone thinking that.
Well, and that was one thing that a bunch of people in this community, whatever you want to call it, actually did pull together and make somewhat of an impact, enough to actually have that when we made that whole push with all those memes and stuff. Like that actually went mainstream. That actually, got brought up. So like in a bunch of different spots. So like, yeah, you're right. That was and then again, enough people just haven't had these ideas presented to them, and that's all. Sometimes that's all it takes.
I think what's happened a lot, especially in the Seeds group, is that everyone is so much more well-read about these subjects than we were once that the group was made, that it's very hard for people to continually, especially in every group, to remember to keep it very, very entry level in that group. And I think that what Dylan's doing with this Veteran Anarchy is trying to get people in on this entry level thing, this entry level thinking as well. Because once you get people down this line of thinking, it's all over. Their logical brain will take over.
Well, yeah, not always, but
not always, but I've seen it quite a few times. It's just a matter of introducing that. It's like if you had, let's say, it's kind of a weird analogy, but if you're a NASCAR racer, right, and that's all you're doing your entire life, just taking left turns. It's like, hey, look, you can turn right. What? I don't get it.
Get out of here.
Great analogy. That is exactly it. When someone walks up and goes, hey, everyone owns himself, no one, like, just because black people or whatever, like every black person has different preferences, wants, and needs. Every white person has different preferences, wants, and needs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, You get what I'm saying here?
No, I got you.
Sure, Dave.
It's just
Why not?
breaking that collectivist thinking.
Hmm. They come in with that collectivist thinking, and,
Uh-huh.
and it's so hard for people to get away from that because they still want to collectivize. I see it with everyone that on social media or people I talk to. They want to, oh, these people that or that people that. Only individuals act. I say it like 1,000 times a day. I feel like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like,
Well, yeah, but it's what if that's all you've ever known, it's really hard to break that. And,
Yeah.
and that's
people
why,
get stuck in it.
yeah, and that's why, like we've been talking about, there's all these different ways to go about it. Some may be more effective than others, and some and there's so many different ways to go about it because people react different ways to this information, And I think, I mean, I've said it a bunch of times. I still believe that for on the whole, most people that aren't sociopaths or psychopaths and have the mental faculties to be able to process this stuff logically, even on its most basic level, all have that aha moment in them. Just got to find it.
So
You got to find what triggers them.
I agree. You got to find that trigger and get them going. Holy crap, you're right. Tell me
Yep.
more. That's what happened to me. I heard Adam Kokesh say a word on a podcast that I should have never heard him say, and boom, it was like, I need to know more about this.
Yeah, it was. See, my introduction was Seeds of Liberty, Kokesh, and Ron Paul.
And people are so butthurt at Kokesh taking certain actions or doing certain things, and I always remind people, don't believe anyone 100%. Like don't believe don't build a god out of somebody. That's what's happened with a lot of people, and they get very disenfranchised because they have either internally or externally built a god out of somebody.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
And then what ends up happening is exactly what you were just talking about with the continuation, of the collectivization of people by others that should know better at this point because they're supposed to be beyond that. But I mean, I often call it residual statism. And
Yeah.
it's just the mentality is so hard to shake that a lot of times, even when you've started to put the pieces together and you think you even if you openly advocate or at least claim to advocate for a stateless society, then you still get hung up on this, and that's where all these insane and sometimes completely inane arguments and can further divisions and stuff like that stem from, because it's just
Well, the
this
troops
need-
are welfare whores. That's a collectivist statement right there.
well, yes.
Oh yeah. I
That's what I'm
think
saying.
that's a
But
meme though. Like it's like a meme to.
Well, yeah, but it's used on all sides, and it's a form of propaganda. And again, that's used on all sides. And propaganda, as we've talked about many times, is not inherently bad. It's just it can be used.
No.
All it
An
is
idea cannot be inherently bad.
Yeah,
It
so-
can't. Only action can, right? For judging good and bad.
True. Okay. I was a little lost there, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry. I forget how semantical I can be.
Well, you know who I live with, so.
Oh,
Well, my girlfriend knows how
well, yes.
semantical I can be. So
Why is she still there? I have no idea.
she's very semantical too. She's like, actually, you said I did say that, and that's exactly what that means. So, I wanted to ask Dylan something. If he wanted to just, I don't know, have the microphone for 5 to 8 minutes or whatever to just give his plea to any soldier or military member that might be listening. It can be emotional. This can be logical. This can be whatever. But this is, I guess, your shot, kid. Go ahead on the famous Seas of Liberty podcast.
I don't know that this was my shot, but as far as emotion and logic goes, I try to use. I'm a pretty emotional guy, and I try to use my emotion to drive my logic versus using my emotion as my logic. But what I would say to the troops is basically it depends on who it is. That's the problem. If they're people who've deployed before to combat zones, Afghanistan, Iraq, even Nam, I'd ask them why they went there. And sometimes I'll get, for my country. Believe it or not, rarely. Sometimes it's, well, I joined the Army for college money or whatever, or workforce and this and that. And what I'm trying to figure out, and honestly, if anyone can help with this, is what to do. Let's say you get out of high school, right? You can't afford college. You don't want to take the big FAFSA loan. What can you do? What workforce can you go into? Are there trade schools that it costs less to go into? Are there ways to get an education or get into the workforce without having to join the military? Because I would make the claim, right? I would make the claim that almost maybe more than half of the militaries, they just didn't have anything else they thought they could do. And it goes back to education too in high school. What does high school teach you? They don't. In the Army, when you get out of the Army, there's a program called Soldier for Life, which is a ridiculous name. It used to be called ACAP, which was Army Career Alumni Program. And they teach you everything you probably could have learned as a senior in high school. How to apply for college, how to get into college, how to use certain loans, how to do your taxes, how to write resumes, how to do all this stuff I never learned in my public high school.
Wow.
So really what it's about is showing that you don't need to join the military to get a job. You don't need to join the military to go to college. But the state makes that kind of hard because they have those benefits we talked about. The GI Bill. The GI Bill, I could go to school right now here in New Hampshire and make $1,900 a month and have my school paid for. I wouldn't even have to work. It's so hard not to take that opportunity. And all you have to do for that is do 3 years active service. But if you do 3 years active service, you're probably going to go overseas. You might see some combat. You might see some dead people. You might have to kill someone. And these are things you seriously need to think about. Can you take a gun and shoot someone? Can you kill someone? Because you're going to have to if you go overseas. That's really what you need to ask yourself. That's for people thinking about joining the military or re-enlisting.
And what would you say to anybody that was conscripted?
Conscripted as in what?
Forced military service. That's what conscription is.
Forced military service. Well, there's not forced military service.
Drafting, whatnot.
Oh, there's not a draft. That's not really an issue because there's no draft right now. You can bring up the
draft. Well, there are
but
still vets that were in wars that did have drafts.
Oh, that
they
they had
still
to
may
go?
believe that they were in wars or that conscription was fine or all this other stuff.
Right. Well, then I'd ask them, why do you think the state sent you there? Why do you think the military sent you there, like Vietnam? Were they going to say communism was going to come to America? No. Look at the way the war started. All wars based on deception. Army generals themselves will admit that. Look at Afghanistan. 9/11 came from Saudi Arabia. We invaded every other Middle Eastern country except Saudi Arabia and Iran. We have our own dealings with Iran.
Well, I don't know.
Well, that was good stuff, man. I hope people heed your warnings because, this can really screw up your entire life by enlisting. It can really set you on a path that is very hard to derail.
No. And once you're in, you're in. Even if you do 2 or 3 years, it's already
and they
there.
Force vaccines and all kinds of other bullshit on you too.
Yeah, that's true. For that crowd, yeah. I have no idea how many
if
shots
you don't
I've
think
had.
that socialist medicine doesn't work like that they don't use their army as basically guinea pigs for their medicines before they use it on their tax farm, you're crazy. So.
Well, before you make any movement in the military, join the military, you're going to go to something, normally it's called SRP, which is Soldier Readiness Program. And you're probably going to get about 80 needles stuck in you the first time you do it. And I had buddies too, where we had shots and they lost record of them. And then we had to get the same shots again.
Oh, man.
Because in
Wow.
in the military, man, if it's not on paper.
You don't own your body anymore, quote unquote, in the military.
Oh, absolutely not. You don't own your body. I mean, when I was this is more older Army because I came in at the tail end of where you could still beat people up and stuff. You're going to get hazed. And they're like, oh, why didn't you fight back? Well, I did. They're bigger and there's more of them.
Yeah.
You have something called the E4 Mafia, which is your specialist, which is what I was when I got out the last 4 years I was in. So honestly, the military is not the place for anyone.
So you missed all the fun stuff.
No, I was there for it. Oh. I was there to receive it, but by the time it got
you didn't
to the
get
point,
to administer.
Right. When I was in the position to give it.
That's what I said. You weren't there for you weren't there for the fun stuff.
I got the tail end.
You know, if you're a sociopath, the fun stuff.
Yeah, and the Army now, especially into the right-wing conservative crowd that might be listening that wants to join the Army, it's pretty liberal. I don't think you'd like it.
Oh yeah, very multicultural. They'll pay for your transsexual reassignment surgery.
It's not your granddaddy's army anymore.
Oh
so.
no. Mm-mm.
You sure you don't want to become Diana Robinson or something?
I like Dylan. I think I'll stick with that.
Okay, all right. I was just checking. You know, never know. I mean, taxpayers paying for it. Why not?
Yeah.
Wow.
But what I was saying though, with if you join the Army and you deploy and you have to see something, it's going to be with you the rest of your life. Just remember that. It never goes away. It doesn't matter if you become an anarchist like I did. It doesn't go away from me. The nightmare's still there. It'll always be there.
Yeah.
The only way to not have that nightmare is to not put yourself in the position.
Yeah, save yourself from the bullshit, I say. Just say no to the Army, the Marines, the military, anything like that. Just say no. There's way better options, in my opinion, for your life and to go forward. Don't believe in the communists, the collectivist lies that you're going to be fighting for king or country or the flag or whatnot. Those are all tricks to steal from you very, very, very precious years of your prime productive life. Mm-hmm. And don't, in my opinion, waste it getting ransacked in the military.
Just as a backup for someone who isn't convinced not to join the military, if you're going to join, for God's sake, don't go Marines, don't go infantry, don't go combat arms. Get an actual skill. Get a marketable skill if you really want to join the military. And so that way when you come out, you don't have to be a security guard. I got lucky and I have a friend who can, I can do an apprenticeship with, but you're not always going to have that.
Yeah.
That's, again, I'm not advocating joining the military, but if you're gonna, don't go combat arms.
Yeah. When you get out of the military, you should be able to step into a career if you're going to get in there.
Right, and if you don't join combat arms, it's
or
no
if you're
guarantee.
If you're already enlisted and you can't get out, I guess try to build a career or learn as much career skills as you can. I guess.
Yeah. Well, I can talk about getting out too because I pulled that off.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Talk about getting out. We'd love to hear it. We could close the show down with it.
So the way I got out of the Army was PT failure. And no, I didn't have to get fat. I didn't have to get out of shape. I just had to run slower. And normally it's supposed to take 30 days. Now for me, you guys know it took a long time, but that's because my unit was deploying. So I was still training as if I was going to deploy and training soldiers. So it was hard to keep up with that kind of paperwork. I didn't actually get out to my unit deployed and they had time to sit there and administratively essentially kick me out of the Army. It's called getting chaptered. It's GIRightsHotline.com. It is the best place to go for that information. Or Veteran Anarchy Facebook page. I'll probably direct you to there anyway. Conscientious objections one way. Sometimes that takes longer. Honestly, the best way out, at least for the Army, is PT failure.
I can imagine any PT failure will get you removed unless you're, in a position where you don't have to take PT.
Right. Yeah. I just don't know how it works with the other services, but that's what I have other people for in my little VA group.
Well, I'm sure they have something along those lines.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You would imagine they would.
Everyone has a PT standard, and if you don't meet it, you're going to get kicked out. And it's not in the Army. It is not a dishonorable discharge. It's an honorable discharge, and you're good to go.
You get out. You don't get screwed in the marketplace while you're hunting a job with a general or a dishonest. So
that's what everyone asks you. Every job I applied for immediately asked me when they found out in the military, were you honorably discharged? And you can lie, but they're going to want to see your DD-214, which is basically your paperwork that sums up your military career.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to say on the bottom, mine says honorable, but on the bottom it's going to say dishonorable or honorable general.
So there it is. You have no excuse. Just run about 15, 20 seconds later on each PT test until they kick your ass out.
Yep, just go for a slight jog in the 2 mile.
Yeah, and start doing it now because once enough people start doing it, then they'll catch on, and they may start loosening the standards.
Oh, they do. Yeah, the standards have been loosened.
Oh yeah, especially you got to be more accommodating for our fighting sisters in arms.
Well, yeah, they do it partially for the women, but I mean, they have surges in enlistment, but there are lulls, and during those times, like how else are you going to do it unless you open it up just a little bit more each time? Okay, we can find that.
You
We can let
crank
these
up the
people
free
in.
college, the free monies.
We'll give them 5 extra seconds on this run, whatever. Like,
Promise them
Well,
daycare
yeah.
for their kids.
so
The bonuses have actually been amped up lately, so it looks like they're trying to
Really?
do it again.
yeah,
Yeah, I
see,
told you,
it's-
like the army specifically has turned into like a single mother like welfare, legitimately.
Oh yeah, it's easy, man. It's in the army. The bad part is the army's too easy. Right place, right uniform, right time. That's what we always said. So that's how they get you in. But once you're in, like I said, you're in, and you don't want that nightmare. You do not want my nightmares. Trust me, people. And I didn't even have that rough of deployments, so I couldn't imagine people who've been to rougher areas than me.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's something.
being out in the desert with no cell phone. Ugh, just think about it.
Well, I don't. Yeah,
That would give me PTSD right there.
I don't think a lot of people really even think about that much, I mean, it just seems that anybody who actually really gets excited about joining because like they want to kill people, or they think they want to kill people, like they often have like this, glorified image of it. They don't really, the reality of it never crosses their mind until they get there.
Oh yeah, they think they're gonna be John Rambo cutting through the thing, but no, they're gonna be the front guy at the thing walking towards the British, getting capped.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You know what I'm talking about? The guy in the front that's like, why am I not shooting? I'm just walking. Boom, I'm dead.
That's like the guaranteed die spot in that formation.
I don't get it. I don't understand any of
yeah,
that.
it's like the
How
black guy in
stupid
a
you have to
horror
be.
movie. As soon as
You must
see
fight
him,
honorably.
he's getting killed.
Look, if I'm fighting to the death, there ain't gonna be no honor in it. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, but like you said, if I like the way you put that, Dylan. If you really have to find a way to make it productive. If you're in and you can't get out for whatever reason, or you decide it's more beneficial for you to just stay in and get what you can, then do that and try to spread the message while you're there. That's something that our friend Donnie did do. He ended up doing, I think, what did he do? I think 19 years total. I think.
Yeah, 19.
And the last 2 of them, he did nothing but just pump this information and just try to convert as many people as and he was pretty
Because you
successful
never know
because he was an analyst
this
at that
whole
point.
thing. You never know, right, Jeremy? Like he could be talking to some guy that becomes a 5-star general, and it finally clicks. Holy, and that, and then that guy's, changes the world or something. You never know who you're changing. You never know who you're talking to. You really never know what's going to happen by getting someone and getting him out of this, state of illusionment with the statism, like completely opening them up to the reality of the world that there is no state, that that only individuals act. It's like, wow, like could you imagine if you're a 5-star general if that happened, or a 3-star general or something, like the access you would have and all this, like it would all just really.
Well, who was that Marine general? Why can't I think of his name?
Smedley Butler.
Smedley Butler.
Yes.
Yeah, he wrote a book.
Major general. He did a bunch of stuff actually. Professor CJ just did a episode on him recently, and talked about how he was. He wrote War is a Racket, which most people know him for, but he had a lot of other positions that were kind of not so great. But he was very steadfast.
He was kind of socialist.
He was very steadfast towards the end of his career, and once he got out, and very against and speaking up against the military-industrial complex before Eisenhower actually gave it that name.
Yep.
So he was speaking out that whole time, and he may still be, or at least he was for quite a while. He was the most decorated Marine, I think. At least for
I think he still is.
He might. Yeah, I'm not sure, but he was major general.
I'm pretty sure that
final
the
rank.
awards or medals or whatever he obtained can't be obtained anymore, and that's why he's like the number one or whatever.
Some of them, they did retire a couple and add new ones over the years. I think
that's why, or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's dependent on
either way.
campaigns.
Yeah, but
and stuff.
exactly. In any case, not somebody who was just got in, got out, and can be written off very quickly. Like here's somebody who saw a hell of a lot of
many
action,
campaigns,
learned everything he learned because he was like, I think, that was the story about him. Like that was back when you had to have college. You had to have a college degree to be. Well, it may still be the case. I don't know, but you have a college degree in order to be higher ranked officers and generals and stuff. And he was like one of the only ones who got through without it because he learned everything. Like he just started from literally started from the bottom and worked his way all the way up. But he saw the light. So. Mm-hmm. That's another. It's a short read. So many more people should read that. But that's another good thing for people. For when
War is a racket.
Yeah, I found that's worked with some people, with a few people, kind of being like, hey, former talking to veterans and stuff like that. And when they question where I'm coming from, it's like, hey, well, have you ever read this book? This was, especially if you're talking to Marines, obviously, this was one of yours.
Oh yeah.
See what you think he had to say. And this was all the way back then before it got much worse. So
That's the worst, right? Here is literally your God telling you that everything you're doing is wrong.
Right.
Because he's like, who's higher ranking than Smedley Butler? Right?
Yeah. Well, if you're listening, what I'd tell you to do is ask you to do is go to YouTube War is a Racket, because you can hear it played out and share it on your Facebook.
There you go.
Yeah, do that.
That's an excellent idea. And on that note, we should probably get wrapping up. So before we get going, Dylan, you have any thing you want to say in closing? And of course, give whatever plugs you want to give.
Well, my Facebook page is Veteran Anarchy on www.facebook.com/Veteran Anarchy. Check that out. I got a lot of people over there, not just me, that are military veterans. And the one thing I'd say to you, this is the emotional side of it, the emotional appeal. If you're come across someone who's going into that combat arms position, ask them if they want to see the face of a man they killed in their eyes every night. It's pretty bad. That's your hard emotional appeal right there. And when you break that, that's when you can start getting the logic. And that's why I use emotion that way. I use it to drive the logic.
Dave, anything before we get going?
Thanks for coming on, Dylan. After many times asking, you finally got a chance to come on. I'm glad. Jeremy, I'm glad we got all these audio issues. I hope figured out.
Yeah, let's just leave it at that. Right, it's fine right now. We'll just leave it that way.
And
anybody who complains this week, it's the background noise comes from Dylan. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
So it's not my
it's
setup.
so wealthy.
But, yeah, come on. You know what? Thanks, government. That's just we'll cut all the middlemen in there. It just boils down to thanks, government, for the bad audio this week.
Well, check out Dylan's stuff at the Veteran Anarchy on Facebook. Are y'all gonna have a website soon?
Yeah, in the works. We have a YouTube channel too, Veteran Anarchy. Same thing.
Okay.
All right. Well, all that stuff will be in the show notes. So this has been the Seeds of Liberty podcast. All of our information can be found at theseedsofliberty.com. And we will catch you next time. Peace.
Mirroring the people who completely fail to see it though. Seeing is believing, yes, the reason is appealing most. Reading enemies is just enables you to see it too.
Now that you put it that way, I have the answer to that question. It's projection. That's what it is. It's not a cop-out to call us utopians. They're actually projecting their own self-hatred onto us.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to bipcot.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.